E-ink tablets for ebook reading have evolved a lot since they first infiltrated the tablet market. Many of these devices are legitimate tools for more than just reading books. Bigme sent us the B751C to review, and I was pleasantly surprised at just how much I found myself doing things I didn't expect to do on this e-ink device. And before we get too deep into this video, I wanted to thank Bigme for sending us a unit of this tablet. They sent it to us to review, but they're not going to be watching this prior to release. Everything I'm saying here is based on my opinions of my usage during my review period with this tablet. I don't spend a lot of time reading books nowadays, but I do read probably like 100 or more articles a week. I grew up clipping newspapers, so the idea of reading those same articles I would normally read on my high-resolution phone display, except on a paper simulating tablet, seems somewhat natural to me. Like, it doesn't sound far-fetched. The B751C isn't just a regular e-ink display either, as it displays a full color palette on the 7-inch touchscreen. Color e-ink displays are a fascinating combination for me to evaluate, as I know there are fans of this type of screen out there. E-ink displays were traditionally stigmatized with slow refresh rates that make it feel unbearable to scroll through pages while reading at times, at least to me. I've also found ghosting on e-ink tablets to really take me out of the reading mood for certain platforms. I'm happy to report, though, that Bigme's offering here refines a lot of my original concerns in the old days about the reading experience with modern applications. After all, this is an Android tablet running Android 11 with the full Google Play Store available to be utilized. I'm not a huge fan of the navigating interface that revolves around this menu bar button. The column style settings menu are also a bit outdated for a front-end interface in 2024. It's tolerable, but I would like to see something more attractive for daily use. With a 2.3 GHz octa-core processor, 4 GB of RAM, and a total of 64 GB of internal storage, and also the expandable micro SD card slot, the Bigme does have enough tech behind it to carry performance for an e-ink tablet of this size, though. It's also then important that the display be somewhat capable of managing popular reading applications. The B751C has a refresh rate of up to 21 frames per second. If you base that on other display standards, that sounds very low. However, by e-ink standards, it's actually does make a noticeable difference when scrolling through a page or a web page. I've reviewed a few e-ink products in the past, but I don't recall many of them hitting 20 FPS. Naturally, there's still going to be a perceived kind of latency difference upon input, but I did find the Bigme to be absolutely tolerable during everyday use. I'm not going to brush over the fact that I do find a lot of e-ink devices to be a bit difficult for me to use on a daily basis as someone heavily invested in other display formats for their technological uses. The Bigme tablet is, though, one of those first, e-ink tablets to maybe want to use the screen to browse more frequently, and I was surprised by that. For example, there are some comic books that were actually surprisingly quite enjoyable to read on the B751C. The older panels that were printed on newsprint off-white paper actually look pretty darn good with an e-ink panel like this one. I turned off the backlight to help saturate the limited color range of the tablet, and I thought it looked much better than with the backlight turned on. Modern comics, though, weren't as enticing to look at here, as the print media has improved quality significantly to the point where a limited resolution and color gamut like this don't make for, in my opinion, a pleasant viewing experience of this type of comic book. But the classic ones kind of looks awesome with this. The software on the Bigme allows for a couple adjustment points to the brightness and color, as well as the vividness and also the refresh frequency, called the e-ink center. This allows users to quickly switch between like magazine mode, comic mode, and video mode. I can also tinker a custom combination of these settings to appease my eyes of whatever I want to see. I've tinkered extensively with these settings and found that the presets, they do represent what they display quite well. I use the auto clean ghosting function to display a cleaner image when looking at, say, drawings or paintings. For reading text, I didn't mind a little bit of ghosting. The customizability of what you want to see makes the Bigme B751C a versatile tablet for many different forms of reading, and that's really awesome. Versatility is an understatement. As the weeks went on in my review period, I did find more and more tasks to be, I guess, I was surprised, is the best way to say that it was capable of doing that. And I didn't know it could. Multitasking split screen usage being a primary feature on this little tablet was one of these things. With how effective it could be at doing this, it really surprised me. By rotating the tablet to a landscape mode, I was able to utilize two apps side by side to occupy the most amount of real estate available on this. I could have a Kindle book open on one side and a note-taking app open on the other. Pair that with the pen provided by Bigme in this bundle, and it's so easy to take notes on a document while reading a book. That's really cool that you can do it like that. Speaking of writing on the Bigme, there is a slight input delay when scribbling on the display. It isn't drastically off cue, but if you're used to writing on other note-taking specialized devices, don't expect the best writing experience here. It is nice to have color options to be able to kind of redline for note-taking. The colors, though, don't pop off the display like we're used to on, say, an LCD or AMOLED panel, but still, for an e-ink display, I was quite happy that it could handle writing as well as it could, even in this level. There are also functions that could remove the need to write as much on the Bigme because it does have built-in, I don't want to say AI things, but we've come to kind of expect that. It instantly records and dictates the conversation of things into summary points. Envision using this in a meeting room and using the Bigme to be kind of like a minutes log machine. From my toying around with this, I was enthusiastic about the capabilities it can handle, as I was relatively surprised how accurate this was.
Okay, let's try this thing out. So today's meeting, I do want to say that I want to make sure we are on the same page and that we're going to be doing the same type of things. Let me know if you think we should do something different, and we'll see what the story is with that meeting session. So it transcribes, and this is what I'm saying right now, and it's
The truly open realm of possibilities to work on the Bigme is on full blast thanks to the Google Play Store. Chances are most, if not all, of the note-taking and ebook apps will run effectively on this tablet. While there are lots of apps out there, and I haven't tried all of them obviously, I personally like Google Play Books as a reading one. And the reading experience is presented in this unique manner where, the page flipping mechanic, it works great on this e-ink display, and while the input isn't instant, I still enjoyed reading on here nonetheless. Since this is an Android tablet, like we keep saying, it technically can also stream music and play videos and, I guess, games. There's a loudspeaker that quite honestly is pretty rough to listen to. The audio gets relatively loud, but the audio is distant sounding, hollow sounding, and somewhat harsh in nature. There's no warmth coming out of it, and that's somewhat expected on a reading tablet. You're not buying this for music.
atom by atom I will tear you apart and scatter your remains to the stars. You won't get away with this, baby.
I use the audio features as an audible speaker of sorts in combination with the Kindle book, so it's basically reading to me as I'm reading. Unfortunately, there isn't a 3.5mm headphone jack, but there is Bluetooth to connect peripherals if you want to do it that way.
From the outside pocket of his carry-on, brings it to life, and says to Sophia, "I need a minute." "Is everything okay?" she asks. Their flight to San Cristobal in the Galapagos boards in 12 minutes. "Just wait here, please." She watches as he strides away from her.
There are two physical buttons on the left bezel of the tablet that are set to control volume by default. They can also be customized to scroll through pages up and down as well. There's also a small power button on the top left frame, but not a lot of buttons here, which is kind of nice. The video watching category is also something I wouldn't recommend spending your time on with the Bigme. While there's a video mode that makes the refresh quite capable of providing a viewing image, a moving image that is. Once in a while, the screen will need to flash black to kind of clear the image out, but in general, it was surprisingly watchable performance-wise. The actual question is, why would anybody actually want to watch it on here over a legit media streaming device like your phone or actual modern tablet? I personally don't feel that reading on this e-ink screen helped reduce strain on my eyes over modern LCD displays as well, or things like on your smartphone and tablets. But there are studies that do claim reading on e-ink is more beneficial than even reading on traditional paper print. The stereotypical benefit of great battery life does apply on the Bigme though, as it did give me plenty of life to get basically a lot of reading done. Depending on what I was doing with this tablet, I could get at least a minimum of 14 hours off of one charge. The standby life is even more impressive, as I left the tablet sitting for nearly a week and the tablet still had a lot of juice on it. On the downside though, there's quite a bit of native Chinese function left over in translation issues and things like that do need attention software-wise. This is something that if you're a Western-based user, you do have to address. This is no different than cleaning up a Xiaomi MIUI phone of its bloatware app. I also don't love the included Bigme cover case. It's not like terrible, but it has a built-in slot for the stylus, but no magnets to hold the cover shut from the front nor the back when folded. The cover flap swishes around when it's closed. The stylus slot is also on the thin side off the bezel, where I, as a right-handed user, would normally hold my tablet with my hand, of course. The stylus is protruding, and it prevents me from getting a solid grip around the case, so I don't love this design. It should have been on the top or the bottom. The included stylus itself, though, is great. It's built well and felt really sturdy in my hand. It also performs well and provides a traditional writing experience that feels like you're actually writing with a real pen, so the stylus is actually really good. My favorite part about this particular tablet is the squarish form factor. It just feels great to hold with either one hand or two hands, without the case, of course. I still don't know if I would grab this over my other tablets to do a majority of my reading, but I can say that the Bigme B751C is an extremely capable ebook reader and an e-ink color tablet. If you're an avid reader first and foremost, but only want to dabble with other modern tablet functions as an occasional use case, then this tablet could actually be ideal for your lifestyle. But if you're relying on an actual full-blown tablet experience and you want the best ones, this is probably not the one for you. Once again, I'm Alex from the Sypnotix. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think of e-ink tablets in general. I'll have a lot more coming up in this category, and I'm very excited to talk more about some of the crazy tech coming up. And I'll see you guys in the next video.